did there. As you expected, this means did everything go as you thought it would? And then Joe goes on to say, I mean, how was your trip up there? I mean, this is just filler. It really has no meaning. It's not even needed in this sentence. And then Eric says, oh man. So, oh man, this is just showing emotions such as, you're not going to believe this. And Eric goes on to say, I am just fed up with the airlines. Just here is just filler. It really has no meaning. Fed up. Fed up means upset or angry. Fed up. An example of fed up is, I am fed up with flying. The airlines charge way too much money. Fed up. And then Joe laughs and Eric laughs. And Joe says, what's new? And what Joe is saying here is, I'm not surprised. For example of what's new, my father's football team has not won a game all season. When I told him that I thought they were going to lose their next game, he said, what's new? Then Eric goes on to say, if it's not one thing, it's another. If it's not one thing, it's another. This means more than one bad thing has happened. For example, Sherry has had a bad day. First, she was late for work. Then after work, her car would not start. She called her husband to tell him about her day and said, if it's not one thing, it's another. Eric goes on to say, I mean, we got up there. He's talking about getting to the airport. And the flight was delayed, or the flight was late. And it was really crowded. So he's saying there were a lot of people. And then getting out, now getting, this is short for getting. And he goes on to say, you wait. And we waited, and we waited, and we waited for the luggage. Luggage is, they waited for their bags, the bags that they checked. And Eric goes on to say, and the wait just got out of hand. Out of hand. This means out of control. Out of hand. For example, the price of plane tickets has gotten out of hand. Out of hand. And Joe says, ugh. Now this is just showing emotion such as, I don't believe all the problems you had. And then Joe goes on, he starts to say, gee, I have not had a good experience with the airlines here domestically in probably about a year, I would say. Now going back, this is short for you know. And then when Joe's talking about the airlines here domestically, he's talking about the airlines here that fly in just America. Not internationally, not to other countries, but just here in America. He says, in probably about a year. Probably meaning maybe about a year. And then Eric says, oh, I mean, it's just, and Joe says, at least, meaning 1 year or more. I have not had a good experience with the airlines, so at least. And Eric says, it's getting worse and worse and worse. So he's saying it's just getting really bad. And then Joe says, yeah, well, I hope that didn't rain on your parade. And rain on your parade. This means to make someone have a bad time. Rain on your parade. For example, Jessica's mother said, I don't mean to rain on your parade, but you did not get the job. Rain on your parade. And then Eric says, no. Joe says, that you actually were able to have a good time after you got up there. Actually here this is just filler. It has no meaning. It's not even needed in the sentence. And then Eric goes on to say, oh, I mean it. It's just so wonderful. Or he's saying it's so great to be up there with those guys. They're like family. Guys. Now, what he's talking about here, this can mean men and or women. He's talking about, in this situation, his friends. And when he says they're like family, like here is comparing his friends to being like family. And then Joe says, you got to tell me a little bit about it. You gotta. This gotta or you gotta, it's what Joe is saying is you have got to tell me a little bit about it. 'Cause, which is short for because, I've never been there. And Eric says, yeah, it's such a beautiful place. Beautiful meaning very pretty place. Eric goes on to say, they've got a bunch of cabins on the water. A bunch, this means a lot. And cabins, these are small wooden houses that people usually pay money to stay in when they go to a lake, the woods, or the mountains. And Eric goes on to say, it's, being with friends and family all the time. And when he says, this is just filler. It has no meaning at all. And being, this is short for being. Eric goes on to say, and my kid had just a blast, just being out on the water. So my kid, or he's saying my child, had just a blast. Now, just here is filler. That has no meaning. But had a blast, that means to really enjoy. Had a blast. For example, I had a blast at the concert. I really enjoyed the music. Had a blast. And then Eric goes on to say, and just enjoying himself. Enjoying. This is short for enjoying. Then Eric says it was really his first time being able to be in a boat and realize or understand that he's on the water and not on the land. And it's at that age, it's just such a new everything's such a new experience. And Joe says, yeah. And Eric says, it was wonderful. And then Joe says, so how did he handle the water? Handle, what Joe's asking here is, how did he do on the water? Or how did he do with the water? And then Joe says, was he jumpy? Like here is just filler. It has no meaning. Jumpy. Jumpy means uneasy. Jumpy. For example, some people are afraid to fly. When the plane takes off, they get jumpy. Jumpy. And then Joe goes on to say, or was he pretty calm while he was out there? Because I know pretty here means really, really calm. And then Eric says he's pretty calm. I mean, he's a water baby of sorts. And Joe laughs. What Eric is saying is he's a water baby of sorts. He likes water. And then Eric goes on to say he just loves the water. He just loves to be in it. So what he's saying is he really likes the water a lot. And Eric goes on to say, up there, the water's really cold, so we didn't really get him in the water, and he had a little bit of problems with the life jacket. A life jacket is something that